Right, there we go. Okay, so I've just spilt my tea. Well done. I'm just putting this video together because I have some problems. I'm using alcohol ink and something called Yupo paper. Yupo paper, I don't know how you pronounce it, but synthetic paper. And I am documenting a process that I'm going through. Essentially, I've got these alcohol inks. See if you can see that there. And I'm trying to varnish them. I've tried loads of different varnishes and I'm getting mixed results. Now, the one that keeps popping up in the alcohol ink community, if it is a community, is something called Crylon Vamar sealer, basically. Supposedly the best that you could use for alcohol ink. There's not really anything specifically made for alcohol inks for sealing them, so it's a bit of an interesting one. Unlike, you know, if you've got acrylic or watercolours, there seems to be quite a few different options. Now, I've literally just had this Crylon varnish come over. Like, it literally arrived at my house yesterday. Tried it out. Was okay. But as I'm going to try and hopefully document here one of the issues that I'm running into. Now, this isn't particularly with Crylon, to be honest. I've used Winsor Newton varnish, and I will double check which one it is, because off the top of my head, don't know. I'm going to edit the information later on in the video. And I've tried a few different ones where you can paint them on. Basically, everything I've tried, in some way or another, the ink tends to run. Even with this Crylon, which basically I've been told, you know, was kind of the best thing, still having issues. So, what I'm doing at the moment is documenting which particular inks are going to run if you apply this particular Kamar varnish to it. I could do this with loads of different varnishes, but to be honest, that's going to take a while. I'd rather just do it as like a rolling thing. Now, I'm videoing this because, to be honest, I've had a nightmare trying to find information on this sort of stuff. So I'm testing these things. I'm going to document it. You can see it on here, face down view. I've got a little grid. I'm going to put my little paints on, inks, whatever, and gonna then varnish over them with the spray and see if any which run. Now, I'm going to, where have I put it? Down here. Okay, so maybe I can show people what I mean. So for the front view camera, can we see that? So probably see here. This is sort of like a splodgy pattern that's happening. This wasn't like it when I painted it, and I don't know if you can see it on here. The rest of the ink, so you can see a number of inks here which are like completely fine, but this green in particular, just creating splodges. Actually, interestingly, so there's a bit of a lightning pattern here, which has also happened from applying a varnish. Now, this one was with the Winsor Newton varnish, and I'm actually really happy with how it sort of breaks the ink up and makes this cool little crackle pattern. The sort of blotch pattern, I can imagine in certain circumstances that would be a really cool creative option. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but hey, it still looks kind of cool. But in the interest of trying to find something that works as close as possible to what I want, yeah, this is what we're doing. So, that piece that I just showed you there, that was on a bit of slate. So one of the issues that I've also run into with varnishing things, specifically with aerosol varnishes, is that if you use a thin paper, it tends to crinkle, even if I sellotape it down. So maybe on this camera here, you can see I've got little lines here that I've put into the wood, and that's so I can line up my sellotape so I get a fairly nice even border. Whatever. What I'm using is this Frisk Yupo paper, whatever, 85 GSM, 25 sheets. This stuff is quite cheap for, you know, synthetic paper. So, you know, I'm using this for this. What's going to happen, undoubtedly, unless it doesn't and it makes me look kind of stupid, probably what's going to happen is when we apply the varnish to this paper, it's going to crinkle because it's, I don't know, it just does it. It's really annoying. You can get thicker paper and I don't get the same issue. Cool. It's a bit more expensive, so I'm not using this for this. This is, you know, just testing. I want to do this cheapish. And let's see how we go. So I've done a bit of a preamble here, a bit of a ramble, rant, whatever. I just want to outline what I'm looking at. If you're interested in what I've explained, cool, carry on watching. This is what I'm going to go through. If this isn't really what you're looking for, then hey, no worries, whatever. So, let's crack on. Now, the smart thing to do would be to wear a respirator. I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to bother. But I am going to open the window. So, yeah, I've got my paper here. That's just for the people on this screen. Yeah, I've got concentrated, so I'm going to do like a concentrated mix of this alcohol ink. And then I'm going to do, I've labelled it as diluted. I'm basically going to apply, this is alcohol. I don't know why I had to think about that, but yeah, this is like a little vial of alcohol. I'm going to splurge it round on the paper and we're going to see if the thickness or if this, you know, the concentrate of the ink is going to have any impact on whether it causes this weird splodgy stuff. If I can work out which inks do it and which don't, this may save me a bit of trouble when I come to deciding which colours I want to use and which paint, which ones I want to not apply a varnish to, which ones I do want to apply a varnish to. Yeah. So, without further ado, what have we got first on the list? Right, blue velvet. Velvet? Violet, blue violet. So, that's this one. So, alright. Let's carry on, make sure we're still recording. Cool. I just love this purple, honestly. Okay. Got an airbrush. Yeah, you can smell the alcohol. Lovely. Okay. Well, I'm just I'm not really moving it around too much. I don't know why I'm doing that. I've got a camera up here, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just edit between the different views. That'll be cool. I've spread it around as much as I want. But I do find that having an airbrush, I mean, you can use a hairdryer. As far as options go for moving air around and ink, I guess these are kind of expensive, you know, because you also have to have a canister, not a canister, but like a compressor basically to move the air about. So it gets expensive as opposed to a hairbrush, whatever. Hairbrush, you know, hairdryer, kind of a lot cheaper. But yeah, this is really good. It's not blowing any hot air out. It's not going to warp the paper. And you're just going to be able to dry the ink, basically. So I took about 5 seconds moving the ink round, and then the rest of the time was me just drying the ink so that it's, you know, I don't know, sets a bit quicker, I guess. So I'm going to do that again. And then I am done with this ink for now. Get my little alcohol. Oh god, yeah. Okay, well, this is a bit of a thicker one, so yeah, we can probably move that around a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. I guess I probably need to use like smaller clumps of this. Okay, there we go. And what I'll do, I will probably just, you know what, I could probably zoom in with this a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I've zoomed in a little bit, whatever, you can see a bit better, who cares. Right, next on the list, indigo. That'll be this one. Okay. I guess I don't need to use so much, but ooh, yeah. Okay, that's a nice deep blue. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I like that. And so what I guess what anyone does is when they're using this sort of stuff, I think the beauty of alcohol ink is when you mix colours together, and you get some very interesting patterns that also are quite natural, like would be really hard to, if you were to just try and paint these sort of shapes that you get from it by just moving the ink around. And yeah, how the colours interact with each other, which is really cool. Now, I do that a lot because, again, that's kind of the idea of them. Although I suppose you don't have to do it, it's all your creative process. But yeah, it's just trying to find out which inks and which, if there's a combination of inks maybe, that you get more of a this kind of reaction that I'm looking for, or not. So, and I do wonder if anyone else, because I've well, there's like one person in particular I follow, for this sort of stuff. And it got me thinking. I was like, oh, I'm going to give this a go finally. But I know that there's a lot of other people after the fact that I started doing it that are into this sort of thing. And I just can't find anything on this particular issue that I'm having. So, let's see if anyone else does. I just wonder if anyone else has and they just haven't talked about it. Or if they have and it's on some weird, obscure side of the internet. Okay, next one. Passion Purple. This one. This one's a new one. I haven't tried this yet. But, yeah, I love purple. Purple. Oh, yeah. Oh my god, yes. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, okay. I'm going to have a play around with this one at some point. Mix it with colours, but I can definitely see this as being a bit of a favourite. Yeah, so far, like the blue violet is one of my favourites. And there's a couple of others that are really good. I should probably mention, if I haven't, these ones are all Pinyata alcohol inks. So, all this applies to these ones. If you're using any other brand of ink, who knows how it will, react with this varnish or any varnishes, who knows. And I may end up doing another one of these if I... Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. Okay, this one's diluted down, but... Ooh, I like that. That is beautiful. I can definitely see myself as using this a lot more. Cool. I'm just going to film all of these. I'll probably cut these up. Maybe I'll cut this bit out, who knows. But this is the first set. It's going to be a long video, probably. Who knows. Right, first set done. Cranberry. there. Yeah, I probably didn't dilute the other ones down as much as I should have, but I should have used less ink, whatever. This is all in learning. Okay, so that's that one. What have we got next? Sangria. I've labelled all these down before. I basically put like a little grid and named which ones I'm going to do, just so I can get through this as quickly and easily as possible. But I don't want to like completely rush this. But yeah, see, I like this sangria as well. I love just these deep dark colours. But yeah, I don't want to like completely rush this. I want to do the process properly. Again, it's all documenting stuff. I've actually got some more papers down here. I've sort of done this same thing before. The only difference is, when I did this before, it was literally just, I did one of every colour so I could see how it affects the paper. That was the right one, wasn't it? Yeah. What it looks like on paper. And I don't intend to varnish those ones, so this is just a different test, but I've sort of documented which colours look like what on this paper previously. And I think for any artist, not that I'm going to tell you what to do, but it's worth, like, if this is something you're into, any art, doesn't matter what it is, it's really worth documenting certain processes and colours, how they work in certain ways, because if I wasn't doing this, I would have to remember this off the top of my head, which is great, but I don't always trust my brain, so, you know, having it on paper so I can actually reference it later on is really good. For instance, there's Pinyata do two metallic colours, brass and copper, and one of them is like a little, leaves little sparkly specks in your paint, and the other one looks almost like gold leaf that's been spread out, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember which one does which. So the fact that I've actually got this documented on a bit of paper, and, like, physically shows you which one does which without having to Google it or, you know, whatever. Yeah, really helpful. Because that saves me from just guessing and then choosing the wrong one, because that's inevitably what's going to happen. In fact, actually, it's the same with cranberry and currant. These two paints, this one and this one, I always forget which one's which, and you can see that they're slightly different shades, and they also react with certain paints slightly differently to give you a different colour, as maybe you'd expect. But you know, if you want your paintings to look a certain way and you accidentally use the wrong thing, it can be a little bit disappointing, even if you can make it still look really good, you know. You can see actually when watered down, diluted as I've labelled it, these actually all look quite similar. The difference is when when you start getting the alcohol on them and you dry them out, you can actually see some of the different colours that come through as you're doing it. This one seems to be a little more, maybe I'd say bluish, I don't know, but which one's this? This one's limeade. Well, that's going to go all the way over there. Cool. do. Yeah, just making sure that's still in shot. Okay. Yeah, that will do. Right, lime green, that's this one. It's kind of cool. Thing I like about this as well, especially when you have a really thick application of this ink, is it really does make quite an interesting texture. Certainly something that I didn't think when I started this that you would see. But yeah, it's a really interesting texture. Certainly more so, like, I mean, watercolours don't really give you that kind of texture really. That just absorbs into the paper. Depending on what you're using, I mean, I haven't used it on this synthetic paper before, so who knows. But it just doesn't. Whereas this, it really does, once it sets. I mean, you can water it down and you don't get that. But have it like this. I mean, it's not the same sort of texture you would get with, you know, acrylic or oil paint, but it's got its own, you know, special thing going on, and it's kind of shiny as well. I say kind of shiny, it's very shiny, definitely is. So, cool, that's that one. Right, rainforest green. Yeah. Yeah, it's another little favourite, honestly. That's cool. How many more? Right, okay, teal. Right. It's still, yeah, I'm still going. Nice. Okay. Okay. Interesting. See, some of these as well. So sometimes what I'll do is I will get an ink and I'll put it in like a little vial like this. And let's see. No, there we go. I know I've got teal around here somewhere. So this one is blue violet. I've just popped that in, and I've just diluted it with alcohol. And you get a slightly different result compared to putting the ink on paper and then applying the alcohol. And yeah, it changes how it reacts, I find, because it's all mixed in together. I guess it's kind of more like this actually, because I'm putting in a lot more. Yeah, actually this is more kind of what it looks like. This one's watered down really quite a lot. Oh, well. Maybe I'm chatting rubbish. Yeah, I like that. And so, I don't know if you can see it on camera here. Well, I'll try and take some pictures of all this when I'm done, but essentially you've got a blue here, which is quite nice. But the teal seems to have like bits in it. I'm not sure why that is, but I actually really like that. Again, more texture. Then you can see around the edges it's got this almost green, which I guess is from where, I don't know if it's pigment or colour or ink, I don't know the technical terms for it, but where it's all been separated, and you don't quite get that in the same way when you just don't dilute it down at all. Really cool. So that's teal. Next we've got coral. Yeah, and that is the compressor you can hear going off. Apparently it needs more air. Right, here we go. Okay. So some of these, yeah. So the thing is, when you, with some of the inks as well, some are just inherently thicker than others. So, you know, for instance, this one, really, I put down like one splodge, and on some of the thicker ones, okay, maybe on like these purples, I think more on the reds actually. Yeah, you just put like one splodge down, and then you put in like a drop of this. Yeah, it still sticks together. Whereas some of these they really dilute down pretty quick. So again, on this one you can see there's some reds in there, but then there's some yellow as well that separates. And yeah, this is, again, you could have one colour. I found that I think coral, it would be like currant. I've used like golden yellow before and like currant, and it's sort of made the same similar sort of thing. It's very, you can get it really subtle. Very cool. Like golden yellow. This is another one that I absolutely love. I don't use it as much just on its own, although it still looks really cool on its own, but I find that mixing that one with other colours gets you some very interesting results. So, ones that I like anyway. This one, yeah, I like how this one comes on quite thick as well. It's got a really good shine to it. It's almost kind of orangey as well. That's cool. I like that. Okay, rust. That one's a fairly newer one. I've had this for a little while, but I've not really used it all that much, to be honest. Also notice that I'm not using gloves on this. I do have some latex gloves. I think they actually sold for, you know, tattoo artists to use. I like them because they've got nice texture to them. They're kind of thin, easy to get on and off. And I've got like a pack of 100, but I do reuse them, so I'm not like using them once and throwing them away. That's normally what I'd use. For this, I really don't care. But yeah, normally I would say definitely wear them. I've had plenty of days where I've just decided, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I've ended up getting ink everywhere, and it's just, it comes off, it's just a nightmare, really. If you're going to go out, and then you've got ink on your hands, it looks a bit silly. Right, pitch black. Yeah, I don't think this one's going to react at all, but... Oh, God, that was a... Oh, that was a lot. Oh, no. Oh, no. I think there was a bit of dried ink on... Oh, that is really... I've never laid it on this thick before. I think there was a bit of ink sort of trapped at the top. It was struggling to come out, and it's just splurged all over the page. That is cool. One thing I've actually used before, so I guess you can get various types of alcohol ink. You can just use writing ink for this sort of stuff. I have something called Indian ink. Is it Indian ink? Chinese ink? Oh, I have it somewhere. Here we go. Yeah, it's called India ink. Yeah, so that's like what you would use for calligraphy. And then I have a fountain pen blue ink here. And I've used these before, and this black, oh my god, this is really black. So, you know, if you, I've found that that one works really well if I want to get, well, add like a really dark background. What I found with this pitch black, on here, again, I'll get a close picture, that is really, really dark. But once you start mixing it with other colours, and especially with alcohol, what you might find is that the colours, again, they separate quite a lot on this, and you get some very interesting results. I think there's usually some reds that come out of it. Very interesting. I do like this colour a lot. I don't use it that much, but it's cool. Yeah, see, right, this is drying now. You can see how it's got different shades coming out, and there's very interesting shades that come out of this. So again, I really like it. Don't use it enough, but that, God, that is really cool. Yeah. So that's, you know, if you wanted to do something really dark, like an actual black background, or maybe darken your colours a lot, for whatever reason, yeah, maybe this one isn't necessarily the best to use. It will work really well, it's just you might get other colours in there that you weren't expecting. Yeah, you can always use writing ink. And then I have a blue one as well, which is cool, but I think it's kind of similar to some of the blues that I have watered down. Right, okay, last one. Blanco. This one, again, I use this a lot. I like this colour. Even though it is just white. And I'm going to spread this. I don't think this is going to have any effect either, because this is about the thick, well, probably the thickest paint, or one of the thickest paints they do. I think it might be the thickest, to be honest, because it separates in a way different from all the other paints. Yeah, that will do. Right. This is going to be fun. Yeah, I didn't mean to put that much on. Whoops. Not concentrating. There we go. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, honestly, how the white reacts, this Blanco, as soon as you put alcohol on it, I just love how it reacts. So, yeah. And then it will dry, and then it will be really just quite thick on there. Okay, so that's the last of them. What I'm going to do now, there we go. So I've got some double-sided tape I'm going to tape these down to the paper. That way, 100%, I'm not going to get mixed up on which one's which. I mean, I won't on this one, but on some of the reds, I'll forget which one's which if it gets muddled up. Do it now, and then I'm going to spray them. We'll see what happens. I'll come back in a day. I don't know. Maybe I'll come back later today if they dry quick. I usually leave it 24 hours once I do a coat of spray. For this, on the bottle it says like it, dries within 15 minutes. So maybe I'll come up later today. But I kind of usually like to wait. We'll see if I get the results I'm expecting. Alright, cheers. Here's some other examples of stuff that I've done. So here you go, again, more colours here that I've documented. This is the one that I was on about where I've got the... Oh, it is brass. Okay, yeah, brass is the one that I like. And then copper, and then pearl, which is the other sort of metallic one. And this is all like archival sheets that I've got. So it's acid free. I don't know how much of an issue or how good that is with inks. But whatever, I did it because I thought, oh, this might be a good idea. But yeah, this is what I'm doing. I am documenting different parts of my process. Henceforth, I'm making this video about this sort of thing. Because, well, I don't have to make a video. I could just keep this in my little records as I've done with the other stuff. But I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well film it and make it for other people to have a look at and see if it's useful or not. So, yeah, basically, we're back to this, new day, new video, carrying on from where we left off. So, yeah, I almost forgot I've got my own little rule of, I'll do my ink stuff, put them on paper, and then I'll leave it for 24 hours. So, rather than just go straight after and apply varnish, yeah, I've just left it 24 hours. But yeah, this is a little workstation. It's really cramped at the moment, but this is where I'm going to be spraying all the ink and seeing what happens. So, important things, I've got this nice little soft brush on my art that I'm actually, kind of happy with, want to frame and sell, whatever. Yeah, I'll use this to just wipe off. I'll just lightly go over it and just take some of the dust off, because inevitably there always is some, and then I can spray. So this is what I'm going to be using, Kamar Varnish, the Crylon one. This is new. I'm not going to be using this, but I use this as well. UV archival, apparently protects against UV, so I will probably do a test at some point, seeing what happens when you have like a varnish on, with this sprayed on, without it sprayed on. Also, I've got some epoxy, so it would be interesting to see how that works when it's in direct contact with the sunlight. Other varnishes that I've used, this one, Winsor Newton Professional Gloss Varnish. I like this one. This one works really well. It seems at the moment to be doing the same thing as the Kamar. I can't see much difference at the moment, but yeah, we'll go on. When I had no idea what I was using, I did use this clear lacquer. This is really bad, don't use this. That really does make the ink run. Yeah, so I'll probably do some information on other varnishes I've used at some point, but for the time being, we're just using this one. So, you've got to give it a good shake. 2 minutes apparently, I don't know, just... I'm not going to bother wearing gloves either. The lighting is not particularly good in here, but hopefully you can see what's going on camera. The other most important thing is this. Now, as I mentioned, I don't mind not wearing a mask when I'm applying ink, but Jesus Christ, I am not gonna just start breathing in this sort of aerosol. So, yeah, I'm gonna be putting my mask on, sounding like Bane, and we're gonna crack on. So, whatever, I think that's probably okay. Right, okay. Yeah. Oh, and the other reason that I like using these boxes, you can just, yeah, hopefully you don't get any dust on the actual art whilst the varnish is drying, because that would be a nightmare. Right, that's all of them apparently. So, yeah, very quick and easy. I don't know if my technique for spraying is any good or not, but that's what I've got. So, yeah, come back in 24 hours. Yeah, it was a bit longer than 24 hours filming this. Had family come round, had nice lovely family time, but yeah, I wasn't gonna film doing that. So what I'm gonna do, I've got my artwork down here, and I'm gonna be zooming in on it because I've found some very interesting things. I'm very happy with the results of this test because it has proved something that I kind of was looking for, basically. So let's crack on. So I have this sheet here which has got individual inks on that have been, I guess, spread around with a bit of alcohol as well. And I did this a while ago, so there's some on here that I don't have, so I don't have Passion Purple to compare against. And also I have pink, which for some reason I have, but I completely forgot about for this experiment. Although I'm actually not really worried about the pink, this one seems fine, so yeah, we move on. So, interesting things to note here. Let's zoom in with this camera and just make sure, yeah, that looks like it's in focus. So, blue violet, I'm really happy with that, no problems at all. So you can see on here, there doesn't seem to be any bleeding, doesn't seem to be any activation whatsoever. And we can actually see that if we can compare to the one I did however many months back. That seems to be pretty accurate for what it was compared to there. I say pretty accurate, you know, it's basically the same stain. Yeah, no reactivation of the ink, all good. What is interesting, indigo. So this is one, I don't know how well you can see it on camera. I'm going to see if maybe I can get some photographs and cut and paste them in here. I think that's going to be easier. Now, interesting thing on here, you can see on the concentrated version where I haven't added any additional alcohol, there's a slight pink glow coming from the outside. The inside of the indigo, perfect, nothing going on there. But the outside you can see a slight faint pink line, glow almost. And you can see it as well on here, with the indigo. Yeah, right around here. Not so much up here, but round here you can still see, and it's pretty similar to how the concentrated version is. Now, what's interesting with this, so this proves the point that I was trying to make. There is some reactivation, even with this Crylon, on certain inks. Now, here's this other copy that I have, that I did ages ago, that doesn't have any spray on it. Now, actually what you can see is there are some faint outlines of pink on here. So when you do put the alcohol ink down, this particular colour, and you just let it dry, there is some separation. Now you do find this with other inks as well, and to be honest, I think it looks really cool when it does that. But on here you can see there is a section here where there is some pink around the outside, but it's not got this, it doesn't look like a sort of glowing effect. So there's almost like there's certain colours within the ink. I imagine how they make them is they will probably put certain colours together to make the particular colour, in this case indigo, that they want, and then when you put it on paper those colours will then separate out. That's not anything crazy. That I think is, you could probably get that with many different colours, and it's not just alcohol inks, but you can see it in how it's happened here, which is really cool. I mean, I like this, but the fact that it then reactivates, this particular colour within the indigo reactivates when you apply certain varnishes, yeah, kind of proves the point really. So that's great. Passion Purple. Now, as I said, I don't have a original, you know, I don't have a sort of dollop that I've made of this before. I added the varnish, can't get my words out, but there is the slightest pink outline here. Now it's really nothing too bad. It's, to be honest, I didn't even notice it the first time I was looking. It's hardly there, can't really see it. It's not, it doesn't come out as much as the indigo. So this is interesting. Passion Purple, as far as I'm concerned, gets a thumbs up from me. Indigo isn't too bad, but there's still a little bit there. So I would probably still use it in my artwork, and I would still probably apply the varnish to it if that's the work I was going to do. Now, current. We're going to do this in reverse order, but yeah, there's nothing weird going on here. No problems whatsoever. No bleeding, no reactivation. Yeah, this is perfect. So any bits of artwork where I want a red colour, I'm going to be using this for sure. Now, where it gets a bit more interesting, we've got Sangria. Now, you should be able to see there is a bit more bleeding around here. Now it's a yellow colour that we're getting. So here's current. This is a non-varnished version of that. So yeah, you can see what that looks like. If we take Sangria, so that is Sangria with a varnish on. You can see it's kind of yellowy. There's some dark, almost blacks going on, I think, very faint. Now, let's take that here, Sangria. This is kind of a mix between the two, but you can see what that looks like. There's no indication there's any yellow within this colour. Even when you put some alcohol in, it doesn't look like there's any yellow whatsoever. But you can see that is somehow it's activated in here. So interesting. It's a bit different from indigo, where you could see the outline of pink, the separation of pink with the blue, even without the varnish being applied. Whereas here you can't really see where that yellow is coming from, so that is interesting to note. With Cranberry, this one is just even worse. So I think for any artworks that I'm planning on varnishing, yeah, I think Cranberry is going to be on the naughty list. Not having that. Yeah, you can see there is a lot of bleeding and reactivation here. Similar in colour to Sangria, just a lot worse. And even with the thicker applied, sort of more concentrated version, yeah, there's just a lot of bleeding going on here. Whereas at least with Sangria, actually you can see when you apply it really thick, there is no bleeding. There is no outline I can see. Maybe if I got zoomed in with a macro lens, I'd be able to see some, but yeah, it's really not that bad. Whereas, so if we go back to cranberry here, if you have a look at this big dollop of cranberry, yeah, again, no outlines of yellow, no separation of colour really. I mean, you can see some more pinkish hues for sure, and a bit more like black, almost really dark red in some areas, but yeah, no indication of yellow. So if you were to apply a varnish there, that is going to cause some issues, unfortunately. So that's our reds. Here we go. And you can probably see already limeade is just a mess. Which is unfortunate because I like that colour. But, you know, that's just how things are. So, let's start with the worst one. Limeade. Jesus Christ. Look at that. It's just awful. Have we knocked it? Yeah, we have knocked it out. There we go. Alright. Yeah, that's just, what is that? What is going on? Okay, so, limeade. You can see, even the concentrated one, there's a ridiculous separation of colour. You've got some yellows over here. You can see where the green is, and then blue is just bleeding everywhere. And if you have a look at limeade where we've applied more alcohol, I just completely washed out, and it's very patchy. It just looks awful. So yeah, I won't be using limeade for that sort of thing. Again, it doesn't mean I'm not going to use this for any artwork whatsoever. I'll show afterwards, I've got some frame prints where I don't have any varnish on, and they look brilliant. So, but yeah, for this sort of work, not great. Now, if we have a look at the sort of in between, here is limeade. And what you can see is there is quite a bit of different colour going on here. So as you can see here, this is a splodge where I probably would have dropped a bit of alcohol and it's just dried and sort of fanned outwards. Yeah, you can see there's quite a lot of blue in there. There's a lot of blue around here. Even around the edges, you can see there is a separation of colour here where there's a lot of yellow. So you can see where the yellow comes from in this. Again, different from the reds that we looked at previously. Yeah, there's a lot of yellow around the edge. This is just how this particular colour works. I like it a lot. It looks really cool. You can see why it's reactivated, so not great. Lime green, also really not great. I mean, if you were going to use a concentrate and just put it on like this, that is brilliant. Yeah, fine, no problems there. And you can actually see in sort of the unvarnished version, you still get some yellow, orange colours, some separation. Even within, rather than just the outline, even within the actual sort of area of green itself, you can see where it goes from a thicker green to a lighter green, and you can still see that separation of yellow. Now, on the varnished version, you can see that just the yellow, it seems that yellows are quite prone to activating within these colours when they do separate, for whatever reason. And you can see that here, like that outline, it's rather than a thick solid pattern that you get before, it just creates almost a glowing effect. And almost you can see some blues here almost, but maybe that's just faded green. But you can see that's been affected quite a lot. One thing I am happy with though, rainforest green. I love this colour. And so I am very happy to see that this just hasn't done anything. You got the concentrate here, It looks very dark on this screen, but yeah, that looks great. And even when you've added the varnish, yeah, nothing going on there. There's nothing to see. And here's again the unvarnished version. They're basically the same. Like I can't see any difference there. So this one's all good. I am happy with that. Okay, so what we've got here, we've got teal, we've got coral, which is looking very washed out. It probably not as washed out as it seems on camera, but you know, this colour doesn't seem to show up very well. And then golden yellow. So interesting. Okay, let's start with golden yellow. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's probably a bit better. Yeah, no reactivation at all. Nothing going on here. Nothing to see. Interesting that it happens in other colours, but when you've got a pure yellow, however they make this particular colour, it just doesn't reactivate when you've got a varnish on there. So, which is good because I use golden yellow a hell of a lot. I really like this colour. I like how it interacts with other inks. I'm very happy with that. Lovely. Coral. Right, this one, cool. Yeah, the pure version, undiluted, sort of concentrate one. Great, no reactivation there, nothing going on. And then, let's see, did I ever get... Yes, I did. Right, okay, so this... Oh, I don't know how well you can see it. So you can see that there are some yellowish colours going on here, but I don't think this is being activated by the varnish. I think this is just how it is, because without the varnish, again, this is a little bit different. You can see this is a bit more, this is, what I've done here is probably in between the concentrate and the diluted, somewhere in between, but you can still see some yellowish colours going on here within the red. So yeah, I don't think that that is caused by the varnish. I think that's just how this colour separates when you've got it on the page, and to be honest, I think it looks really cool. So that one's a good pass. And teal. So again, I think this one is perfect. You can see the concentrate one here. Almost looks like maybe it's a little bit patchy, but actually I think that's just because teal seems to have a few bits in the bottom, and when you apply that, these little bits come out. I don't know what it is. Kind of looks like dirt, but it will just be how they make the colour. And so when you put it on and you dry it, when you get little bits in, sometimes you get this spot effect. I find that if you have sometimes you get a dry piece of ink, and it will go on the paper when I'm applying my bits. I mean, you know, if you get little bits that get stuck in here, and as you're unscrewing it can go onto the paper. And then when you apply the ink and it all dries, if you've got one of these little bits of, dry bits of rubbish on the paper, yeah, you'll get this same sort of effect. So, yeah, I'm not worried that is, from the varnish. And I actually can see on here, we should be able to see, there are some little bits in here. When you dilute it down, there's still some bits in there. But, yeah, there's nothing around the edges to say that this is, activating, so that's cool. And you can see in here you've got different colours of blue. There's almost like green colours here as well. So very happy with that. And again, you can see on here this unvarnished version, same thing going on. So that is all fine and perfect. So last one before we start wrapping up. And you can probably see already. So this one is actually a bit surprising for me. Now, rust is one of those colours where I got it fairly recently, so I don't actually have a piece of paper with, you know, the unvarnished version on, but you can see what's going on here. I mean, this one was like a brown colour beforehand. It still is, but you can see that there is a lot of bleeding here. I mean, that is really thick amount of yellow that's coming out. So God knows what's going on there, but yeah, really bad. And washed out as well. You can see this diluted version, very washed out. And there's just a ring of yellow around it. So I don't like it. I'm not going to be using it for, you know, any work that I plan on varnishing. This is going to be for someone else. So yeah. The one that surprised me, pitch black. I really like this colour. I don't use it much, but I mean, I applied it really thick here, really thick. Like it does look pitch black, which is cool. And there's nothing around the edges, no reactivation, all good. But you can see where I've diluted it. There's like this yellow colour that's coming from it, which really doesn't look very good. I'm going to see if there's any... No, apparently I didn't have the foresight to, you know, get a bunch of pitch black and put that on a bit of paper either. You can see on here there's just patches of yellow, and that definitely wasn't there beforehand. You can see, you know, around the edges, it just looks horrible. I don't like it. Doesn't necessarily mean I won't use it, because the fact there's no bleeding whatsoever here is great. And I do wonder if you were to mix this with other colours, whether you would get the same result or what's going to happen. So the next stage after this, as and when I get round to doing it, will be the colours that activate. If you mix them with certain colours that don't activate, what results do you get? Now, I'm not so bothered about rust. It's a cool colour, but it's really not, like, there are ones that I prefer, so I'm pretty happy to just sack that one off. Whereas pitch black and some of the reds, yeah, I'm going to want to try and see what happens with those. Blanco, last one. There's nothing going on here. I don't know what's just, there's nothing. So, yeah, I'm going to keep using that. And that is pretty much that for it. Yeah. I think we're done. That's my results. And yeah, I'll show some pictures afterwards, just side by side, I think. Because that'll be the best way for you to see in detail exactly what I mean. But hopefully this all made sense, and you know, it's helpful for whatever you need it to be used for, I guess. Like, save you a bit of time anyway, having to go and just do all this testing yourself. Yeah. Right, one last video before I wrap this up completely. So I'd mentioned that you can get frames, so I've got some artwork that's in frames. This here. This is a personal piece that I'm keeping. I will not be selling this whatsoever. It's too cool. I love it too much. Yeah, but I've made some scans of it so I can make some prints, but that's not the point of this. So, you know, this is some of the work that I've done with various greens. Now, I have not varnished this whatsoever, and this is on this exact same Yupa paper. It's quite thin. So again, if I was to varnish it, and this was one of the things that I found out very early on when I was testing, with an aerosol anyway, that will just crinkle the paper. So a lot of these I just haven't varnished because it's going to, you know, screw up the paper basically. And even if you were to frame it, you'd be able to see the crinkle, how it, you know, just warps, and it won't look good, won't look professional. So what I've done with a bunch of stuff, as I went to a local framer, got these framed, and they look brilliant. But as well, the glass that's been used, I believe this is AR70. Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go. Art Glass AR70. So this has got 70% UV protection. So it's never recommended to have, you know, alcohol ink art in direct sunlight, but So you shouldn't have this in direct sunlight, but even if you're to have it in like a room that's quite brightly lit by natural sunlight, this offers some really good protection, and you can get 90% or 99%, which is more expensive glass, but that is the other option. So all this testing that I've done today, if there are particular colours that you like, or even if I like that, I'm like, oh, I want to do some art with these, but I don't want to finish it off with varnishing, you can put it in a frame like this. This is the more expensive option anyway, and then there's levels, you know, if you wanted it for, I don't know, an art gallery, yeah, you could get like the 90% ones, which is even more expensive, but, you know, for the sake of longevity, really good. And you can still do that. You can see in here even, this must have been lime green or something, I can't remember which colour I used, but you can see there's like yellow on the outline of this, but it looks cool, and it actually merges really well. I think this must have been forest green that I used. In fact, yeah, it would have been. And you can see how that just interacts with you've got the yellow there from the lime green that's just merged into the forest green there, and it just looks really cool. And then you can see where I've used black as well. So this was pitch black, and I've used the blanco, so you get all these bits of stuff. Yeah, just looks really cool. So you don't have to use varnish, but yeah, if you wanted to put stuff in mounts or just sell it as it is without going through this whole framing process, then hopefully that helps. But this is the alternative, which for me, honestly, looks amazing. I'm very happy with this. But yeah, it'd just be cool to be able to varnish work and sell it in mounts just as it is. So hopefully that helps.